Forgiveness. It's a word that often carries heavy weight. We're told to forgive, but what does that actually mean? And what happens when we hold on to resentment? Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior. It's not about letting others off the hook. Forgiveness is about releasing ourselves from the grip of anger, resentment, and bitterness. It's about choosing to let go of the past and to move forward. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to tolerate repeated offenses. I believe that it is important to forgive someone every single time that they hurt me. And if they are hurting me by doing the same thing over and over and over again, at some point, I have to stop and take responsibility for the role that I'm playing in that repeated offense. I need to take a look at the boundaries that I may or may not be setting. Boundaries are crucial for our self-preservation. They're a way to protect our emotional and our mental well-being while still maintaining relationships. We can think about boundaries like a fence around our property. It's not about keeping people out. It's about defining our space and ensuring that our needs are met. When we set boundaries, we're essentially saying, this is how I need to be treated. Well, there you have it. Forgive everyone for everything that they've ever done to hurt you and set healthy boundaries. That's simple enough, right? Yeah, it's simple, but it's definitely not easy. Setting boundaries can be very challenging, very, very challenging, especially if you don't have a lot of practice setting healthy boundaries. And maybe you don't know what that looks like because healthy boundaries weren't something that was modeled to you when you were growing up, or maybe the people that you're surrounding yourself with are having a difficult time setting boundaries as well. Not a lot of boundary setting is happening there. And if this is where you are, that's okay. We're all here to learn and to grow, and it's going to look and feel a little bit messy sometimes. One of the reasons we may fear setting boundaries is because we're worried about how other people are going to react. It's very possible that they may react poorly, and it may take them some time to adjust and to learn how to respect these new boundaries that you're putting into place. Just remember, their response is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to clearly and calmly communicate your needs and uphold those boundaries. So I had a situation where someone close to me was sharing secrets that I was trusting would stay with them. And I'm sure we've all been in that situation where we've shared confidential information with someone that we trusted and they weren't able to keep it to themselves. I'm guilty of this as well. So this secret that I just so happened to share with this person was a big secret, and I specifically asked for it not to be shared. Once it got out, it caused people to feel hurt, and they were pretty upset, understandably, myself included. I felt betrayed, and some trust that I had with this person was broken because of this. Now, the person who broke this trust with me wasn't someone that I wanted to just toss to the side. I wanted this person in my life. So I had to kind of think about what my next steps were, and that was to start setting some boundaries, some healthy ones. And what that looked like was I had to stop sharing personal information with this person for a little while. If I had a secret, I knew that I needed to keep it to myself. Then I had to start working towards forgiving this person. I reminded myself that I have also made mistakes similar to this one, and I know how bad I felt, and I wanted to be forgiven for this. So I had compassion for this person and was able to forgive them. But it took a while to be able to feel comfortable sharing certain information with them. So to get to a place that I felt comfortable sharing private things with them, I needed to see that they truly felt bad for what they had done and that they were working to prove that they could be trusted. So this doesn't happen overnight. A lot of patience is required while you're working through some of this stuff. Now, let's say you have someone who hurt you and they've asked for your forgiveness and swore up and down, I promise it's not going to happen again. Never, ever, ever. I promise, never again. Only to find out weeks or months later it happened again. Maybe you're a very forgiving person naturally and you chose to forgive them once again, but nothing has changed and no boundaries were set during that time. And if they were set, then very little follow through was happening. So what happens? You find yourself being hurt for the third, fourth, fifth time. Maybe what makes the most sense in that situation is to put some distance between you and that person. Maybe that's the healthy boundary that you need to set to break that cycle. I fully believe that forgiveness is important in all situations, but I also believe that it's wise to refuse to tolerate someone hurting us by doing the same thing over and over again, repeatedly. Forgiveness is interesting. When we hold on to resentment, this can actually have some negative impact on our physical and mental health. It can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even physical ailments. So studies have shown that chronic anger and resentment can elevate levels of cortisol, that stress hormone that we have. High cortisol levels can weaken the immune system, it can disrupt our sleep patterns, and it can increase the risk of cardiovascular problems. So we got to keep those hearts healthy, okay? We got to forgive, and ain't nobody got time for heart problems. So work on that forgiveness. Forgiveness also has a lot of positive effects on our well-being, so it can reduce that stress that we're talking about, reduce anxiety. If we let go of resentment, we're saying bye to those emotional burdens that are weighing us down. I can't tell you how many times I stayed up past my bedtime just stewing about things that someone did to me that made me mad or upset me. At one point in my life, I swear I could have turned resentment into a full-time job by the amount of hours that I was putting in just being upset with someone. I mean, just with that alone, like staying up late at night, I have personal experience that shows that it does impact our sleep. And I mean, I'm getting older, I'm pushing 40, and it's coming quick. Those baggy eyes do not bounce back like they used to. So we need to make sure that we're getting some good sleep, especially as we age. So don't be staying up all night thinking about what Jimmy Joe did to you in the second grade. Forgive Jimmy Joe. And if for no other reason, it's so that you're waking up without those bags under your eyes because you were up all night talking trash in your head to Jimmy. Think about all the hours that you could have got getting some restful sleep instead of planning your revenge on little Jimmy. Our bodies work very hard to heal during sleep, so it's essential for our physical and mental health to get some good sleep. I know I just made some light over this topic, and it doesn't escape me that there are some really painful situations that are going to require a tremendous amount of effort on your part to forgive. But the takeaway here is that the deeper the wound, that's going to create and impact our health a lot more significantly. And we want to be aware of the damage that it can do to our bodies if we're holding on to resentments and this pain. You know, some of the most challenging experiences that I have when it comes to forgiveness is forgiving myself. I am my worst critic, like many of us are, and have been known to be very hard on myself. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, because I wanted to continue holding myself accountable to doing the things that I know will keep me strong and healthy, and I want to teach other people how to do the same. It's exhausting to constantly beat yourself up. That requires a lot of energy, and I was losing steam trying to keep up with punishing myself for being human and making mistakes. I don't want other people to be that hard on themselves either. So if you're beating yourself up over something right now, or just being really hard on yourself over a mistake that you made, I hope that you spend some time today having compassion for yourself and understanding that it's okay to make mistakes. Just don't let it stop you from moving forward, from learning something from it and becoming a little bit wiser. I want to be clear that forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is not forgetting, and forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to reconcile with someone who hurt you. I think the most common misconception about forgiveness is that it makes you look weak. It's interesting because if you've ever truly forgiven someone, you know just how difficult that is to do. You got to be a pretty strong person to stand up to someone who hurt you and to forgive them instead of retaliating. I mean, forgiveness ain't for the weak. I'll just say that. And don't feel like you have to pretend that something didn't happen just because you chose to forgive. You can acknowledge the pain while letting go of the anger and the bitterness that was linked to it. And you certainly don't have to maintain a relationship with someone who hurt you just because you have forgiven them. All right, so let's drive a few points home here before we wrap it up. Remind yourself that forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing. It's not weakness. It's about breaking away from anger and resentment. It's about being able to move forward with greater peace and feeling free from all that nonsense. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior or forgetting what happened. It's about letting go of the hurt. Setting healthy boundaries is crucial. I want you to practice communicating your needs clearly and consistently and honoring those boundaries for your own emotional and mental health. All of this takes time, a lot of effort on your part, and self-compassion. So let's not try to be perfect here because you will run into some setbacks, but remember that just remember to keep moving forward one step at a time. You deserve peace and you deserve to heal. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening and for supporting me while I try my best to support you. And I really hope that this provided you with some valuable insights and tools for your own healing. If you want to connect a little bit more on forgiveness, then send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and we can keep the conversation going there, because I'd love to hear your thoughts and your questions. And I hope that you have the very best week full of forgiveness.